I teach photography at Ventura College, and this is the second faculty show that I'm not going to submit a photograph. I'm going to submit an installation piece, and it's going to be a 1968 squareback Volkswagen. And it's going to be dedicated to Zapata and Sub-Commander Marcos. Zapata being the great godfather of the early land revolution in Mexico, and he was assassinated. And Sub-Commander Marcos being the contemporary leader of the Chiapas Zapata movement in Mexico, and for that matter, all over the world. All of the indigenous peoples all over the world. That's the movement he leads. And that's what this card is going to represent. So when you walk into the gallery at Ventura College, there's going to be this card with the doors open and the whole story of what I've been talking about in and around the cards. I want to tell people that the indigenous peoples that live in Alaska, the Eskimos, their land has been stolen from them. I want to tell the story that the Native American Indian tribes, all their land was stolen from them, and so were their religions stolen from them. And so was their language stolen from them. And I want to tell the story that the same exact thing happened to the indigenous people in Mexico, in Central America, and in South America. And I want to tell that same story about the indigenous people in Australia that has gotten their land stolen from them, and in New Zealand, and in the Philippines, and I can list a whole, and in China, just as recently as yesterday. This is why I've been telling you to read the New York Times. There was a major story in the New York Times about the indigenous tribes in northern China that the government of China wants to disband.
Myanmar?
Yeah, thank you. They don't want indigenous people to have their tribal rights. So this is kind of a universal thing that has been happening since the beginning of time. Folks, this is what happened in ancient Egypt when the Egyptians conquered another nation. The first thing they did is they took that nation's religion away from them, their language away from them, their customs away from them, and attempted to make them Egyptian. And so there's nothing new under the sun, except things have changed now. And they've changed now because we're living in a different world than the world we lived in 5 years ago. And you as media makers and photographers and people who are going to go out there and make change have to be aware of who the audiences are and what the markets are all about. Are you all with me?